3 a.m. feels more midnighty than 12 a.m. If you go to bed at 23:11 p.m. and get up at 7, then 3 is exactly in the middle of your sleep. That's because you have the luxury of artificial light, which has altered schedules. When the term originated, it meant in the middle of the night, which made rough sense being they pretty much ended the day when it got dark and woke up when the sun started to come out. 12 p.m. really was the middle of the darkness, hence the origin. The midnighty feeling is shifting to late morning hours. As I was a kid, I felt it around 10 or 11 p.m. and now it's like 2 or 3 a.m. 3 a.m. is known as the witching hour, historically viewed as the darkest, scariest part of the night. Up at 3 a.m. is either me being so anxious I can't sleep or me being on too good of a mood to go to sleep. No in between. A woman cheats on her husband after years of happy marriage. What forgiveness sounds, and then silence. W God, Bill Burr's God. Funny or not, it feels sort of fitting. May. It's not that bad. Love the amount of foreshadowing, humor, surprise, and gruesomeness in just a few lines. Well done. I'm sorry, but this is awful. Would have been better if the punchline was about how husband was also on the cruise and had also been cheating the entire time. That's a W on God's part. Mother-in-law has been staring through the window since it started to rain. If it gets worse, should I let her in? This is a standard. I think I've seen it 19 times in the last 2 months. Inefficient God with De Niro's voice? Hi, I'm Alicia Johnson, LMTF, a licensed therapist specializing in burnout and stress. Ask me anything. You mentioned finding time for yourself. How does one do that if there isn't time and energy left over after all the demands of work, kids, a house, a spouse, and leaving time to get enough sleep? Is it possible for people to return from burnout to do the same job? All the people that I know that went into burnout never returned to do the same job. After a long and very difficult year, my wife and I are finally taking a vacation for a few. Plan to do zero work, spend time with family, put the phone down, and generally try to do as little as the best way to relax on vacation when you're burnt out. I'm planning to be as intentional as possible with what I do, and to try and stay in the moment, but I'm also a little worried about not getting the relaxation for doing this AMA. How did the kid from your school die? He was playing football and randomly passed out. Never woke up again. My 18th birthday party. Big party at a barn in the country. Drinking. He had an argument with his girlfriend. I said, "Hey man, don't leave," then watched him get in his truck. The next day we went and looked at the skid marks and broken pole he wrapped his truck around. A guy was a water polo player. He was a weak link and needed extra practice. The coach was instructed to practice underwater laps to extend breath capacity, basically swimming entire laps underwater. The team went to the locker room for a meeting, came back and the guy was at the bottom of the "don't allow swimmers unsupervised use of the pool anymore." Suicide pact with a friend. Friend got scared and didn't follow through, but the first kid did. I accidentally put a condom on backwards. Either direction you can go fuck yourself. Wise man once told me, if you don't know if you're coming or going, just look. If it's white you're coming, if it's yellow you're going. Then it's rib for your pleasure instead. Our dirty dia jokes. Thought you started with your nuts first when you said that. Just reuse it. Just remember to shake the fuck out of it before putting it back on, and you're golden, and do your part to recycle. It'll be a good year, just be patient. The condom then thought, I am surrounded by dicks. I think you mean a mod knock. Ha 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 lol. Embarrassed smiley face. And now it's for his pleasure. Well, if you out the condom backwards, then the whole world is docking on your dick. How do you reuse it? Inside out and shake the fuck out of it. I'm an amateur professional researcher of psychoactive drugs. I have taken over 200 different drugs, written over 160 detailed reports on their effects, written extensively about obscure new drugs and literature, and now work with synthesizing novel ones for research. Ask me anything. How do you ensure consistency in your trip reports? What protocols work for you to ensure you get good data? How do you prepare for a trip? Are there any harm reduction techniques or specific things that work well for you? If someone gave you $1,000 a week to never eat meat again ever, what would you do? Well, I'd go from being a broke vegetarian to a middle-class vegetarian. Stop eating meat. A free $52,000 a year is too good to pass up. $1,000 a week will give me a lot more security than delicious meat will give me comfort. I'll take the money every time. I love meat, but not more than I would love $1,000 a week. Truffle habit, here we come. Spend $900 a week at the local Nepali restaurant? Fuck yeah. I'll be spending that money on Indian food. As long as I can still eat eggs and dairy, I'll take the deal. I wouldn't go vegan for $1,000 a week though. I love my breakfast cereal too much lol. I stopped eating meat about 2 years ago and it has truly improved not just my cholesterol but my digestion problems. So I take it gladly. I love beans, let's go. Interviewers will ask you to tell them about yourself after you've already submitted a resume and a cover letter. This is so we can tell if you're an idiot or not. You probably didn't tell us you were an idiot on your resume, but when you open your mouth, we'll know. I sure hope that my future isn't determined by 2 sheets of paper submitted against 75,000 other ChatGPT generated resumes submitted by bots, all for a $14 hour gig. I'm a recruiter and we ask that to see if you can actually communicate your thoughts well and even know your own work history. You'd be surprised how many bogus work experiences people put on their resumes. We usually have your resume open and see if you actually mention them, then ask relevant follow-up questions when needed. It's an icebreaker, designed to relax you and give you the chance to sell yourself a bit. You're a noob to think they will read through everything. People who lost a lot of weight, what surprises you the most now? I'm always cold now, the loose skin is a bit unexpected. How much nicer people are to feet weren't why they were fat. Having bones. Collarbones. Wrist bones, knee bones, hip bones, ribs. I have so many bones sticking out everywhere and it's weird as hell. I've lost 100 pounds since 2020. It's a collection of little things that surprise me. For at least 10 years I couldn't put on socks, or tie my shoes. I couldn't bend over and pick something up. I couldn't climb a ladder to fix something. Simple things like that I can do now that fascinate me. I can buy clothes in any store I want. That throughout the 1950s and 60s car manufacturers developed a turbine engine that was capable of running any type of fuel without modification. As a demonstration, the car was driven to Mexico powered by tequila. In France it was powered by Chanel No. 5. A little tequila and some Chanel No. 5 might make me do some next level shit too. The downfall was it was extremely expensive to produce and it wasn't really that much faster than a V8 and it would have cost a lot more to produce. The early public demonstrations of the diesel engine ran on peanut oil. Vincent Kasuga, who in 1956 was able to successfully corner the Chicago onion market and made a fortune controlling 98 of all onions traded on the exchange. South Holland, Illinois, originally named the Low Prairie compared to the High Prairie of Roseland, was at one time the onion set capital of the world. South Holland soil was incredible for farming and was sadly almost entirely developed upon. Absolute scumbag for what he did. He screwed over a lot of hard-working farmers and made them paupers overnight. I still remember when a Redditor tried to corner the gourd market. For anyone thinking of pulling off the same stunt, it's illegal now. When asked for comment, Vincent couldn't stop crying. The Dukes tried to corner the orange futures market, but were thwarted badly by Louis and Billy Ray, the original Onion Knight. Either you cannot afford onions and cry, or you can afford onions and cry. Scientists for the first time in significant detail captured footage of orcas hunting killing great white sharks via first-time ever aerial footage of the behavior in South Africa. Researchers recorded 11 shark deaths by orcas. Evidence also suggested the hunting was becoming more common. Yet the article won't let me watch the detailed footage. I thought I was gonna see some sharks get messed up by orcas. One of the whales in the study was known to have attacked white sharks before, but the other 4 were not, suggesting that hunting was becoming more common. Earlier research shows orcas can learn from one another through cultural transmission. And shark flight was documented. Each time the orcas returned, the sharks stayed away longer. Eventually, they were away for periods longer than 12 months, she adds. That Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards was around the age of 30 when the magazine New Musical Express ranked him atop its annual list of rock stars most likely to die within a year. He would hold the position, uninterrupted, for a decade. Keith Richards will turn 80 on December 18. Most likely to die? Sounds like a mean-spirited list. Strange to see the most grounded member Charlie Watts of the Stones to be the first to go for this era. I have no doubt Keith will survive a nuclear holocaust. We have to start thinking about what kind of world we're going to be leaving Keith Richards. You jinxed it. Youngsters need to start thinking about what kind of world they are going to leave for me and Keith Richards. Willie Nelson. When I was a kid, my parents would be sad whenever someone I never heard of died. I was like, why are you sad? That person is never on TV, who even knows who they are? TBF, he probably deserved those nominations. That when the NHL Stanley Cup runs out space for engravings, the oldest engraved band is removed and a new one is added. Most recently, the winners from 1954 to 1965 were removed. Man, soon it'll be a real shame if a team hasn't won it since, say, 1967. I'll add to the authentic trophy itself there are 2 replicas is not owned by the NHL. The trophy was originally commissioned by the Governor-General of Canada. Guess what his last name was to the best team, and the trophy is formally owned by 2 Canadian trustees who allow the NHL to use it. One of the trustees died this summer. I'm not sure if they have found another yet. Old bands are on display at the Hall of Fame. Don't look now, Toronto. But if they had just removed a single year more, it would be as if you never won any at all. High voltage sign. The people who get paid the least do the most work. As someone who works in IT, I have never been paid so much to sit around and wait for work. It's wild to me. Really depends on how you define most work. Doctors and lawyers do less work than a cashier. Most people don't get paid more for doing more. They get paid more for knowing more. White collar exec here. I got my ass kicked today. Maybe not physically difficult, but mental stress is off the charts on a regular basis. Responsibility for making sure our company survives for the hundreds of families depending on our ongoing success is difficult and realistically a 24/7 job. Technically, with the scientific definition of work, the people who do the most are pilots, and I think they are paid pretty. Reality, the people who get paid the most are the people it's hardest to replace. Not the ones who do the most, because they are the easiest to replace. Two Muslims are wandering, starving and lost in the desert. Religion-swapped versions of jokes didn't know that was a thing. Sneering face. The original version of this joke works better. Oh, you misunderstood. I'm not John. My given name is Jan Muhammad, brother. You are allowed to break fast in order to save your life. You need to at least mention the Christian festival in the setup. Otherwise this is just a bad copy. I'm Muslim and I've been hearing this song ever since I was 5 years old. Lol. Isn't John meant to be the one in the kitchen here? We are the Video Game History Foundation, a non-profit historical archive. With E3 now dead, should organizations like yours archive audience and critical reception to events like the Game Awards? Is it important to record Twitch chat, tweets, Discord logs, etc. and have them easily accessible so people can see the reaction to an announcement at the time instead of in hindsight? What gaming system was the most interesting one in terms of preservation? What sort of advice would you give your average game enthusiast to help with the effort of game preservation? As someone who loves games and game history, I feel like as an individual there isn't a lot I can do without connections to those who are in games press or games industry, besides just raising awareness. Thanks Frank and the gang for preserving video game history. What do you think is the most urgent to preserve now before it's lost forever? Are there any specific areas that are in danger of being lost? What is something people should be ashamed of for liking? Child beauty pageants. Most prank YouTube channels. Harassing people in public or causing a huge scene for clout isn't pranking, and it's not funny unless you are 12 years old or a complete idiot. I don't really care what you enjoy, as long as you're not hurting. There are exceptions. Children and animals. No, I don't mean furries, I mean zoophiles and pedophiles. Celebrities with extremely obvious narcissistic traits. Any kink that harms other people without their consent. The Nazis. Influencers. Child porn. Ignorance. Fondant. Fuck fondant. That stupid NPC stuff on TikTok. Duck lips when taking a selfie. Influencers. The Kardashians. Murder. Definitely murder. Skull. Their political support of a political party is insanely shameful. Cheating, attracted to shitty people. Fascism. What movie is really sad when told from the villain's perspective? Baby's father in Dirty Dancing. Dude just wants to have a nice family vacation. Mrs. Doubtfire, because imagine how scared Pierce Brosnan was when Mrs. Doubtfire tried to kill him with pepper. Prince Nuada from Hellboy: The Golden Army. He's the prince of a dying race of Fae, has to see his father lead his kind into darkness and obscurity, and then see humanity tear down everything he loved for their own greed expansion. His speech about how the world will never see the likes of the elemental forest god was heartbreaking. Jaws. Bruce is just trying to be a shark, man. The land before T-Rex just needed to eat. What's a sentence that makes perfect sense in 2023 that would have made zero sense in 1970? Asking someone where are you? When they answered the phone. My car won't talk to my phone. Just Google it. Let me grab my phone and take a selfie. I watched too many TikToks of gym baddies. Now my algorithm is all fucked up. This house is only $400,000. Why are you saving things on your hard drive and not the cloud? I'm gonna DoorDash a Blizzard for my grinder hookup. Click the icon with your mouse to open the window. Did you see that the meme I tweeted got 20,000 likes? I thought I retweeted a link to a Zoom meet about the mid-pandemic insurrection, but it was actually a Rickroll. I don't care where you are. When I call your phone you answer, and don't make me leave a voicemail. I've got to reboot my phone, TV, fridge, washer, dryer, etc. I need to charge my Tesla for our trip home. While a house and a car are the likely two most expensive things you'll buy, the third might be anything. Look at this fat cat with a house and a car. The third is usually the maintenance of one of the first two. In the UK, it's probably Sky Sports. The third is having a child. College degree can be third. Not positive pregnancy tests end up being way more expensive. Raising a child is a hell of an expensive proposition. 16-20 years of room and board, plus education, treats and toys, activities for their enrichment and improvement, healthcare and more. A couple seconds on Google suggests that the overall cost of raising a child to adulthood is around £200,000, which sounds lowball to me, but is easily the cost of a decent house in my area. Feasibly raising a child is the most expensive thing you will ever do, it's just spread over a long time. Who can drink 20 liters of gas and not get sick? This joke fuels me. I hope he doesn't get all fired up. That took me a minute, I had to switch gears. Wow, pumped me up. Weightlifter, female sign. This joke was quite accelerating. I'm fuming. This is a high-octane joke. Lightning McQueen, Vin Diesel, Chuck Norris. Bravo sir. Who drinks gas? You have to inhale it, it's gas. No one will be sick after that. Just dead. You gas guzzler you Jerry. Such fuel-filling joke. Caboose, I just thought you made bad lemonade and I didn't want to hurt your feelings. For any red versus blue fans, not my dad's diesel engine. This sub is quite a guess. A car son, I put diesel in the Escort, she died. Gary Delaney joke. Gas keeps him fueled for his Jerry curls, but can Jerry carry it the whole way? Would you rather get $10 million and live 10 more years or $10K and live 100 years? And why? Can I do like 3 million and live another 30? I just imagine living in a nice house out in the countryside just contemplating my death date. It would really suck the last few months. It'd be terrible. Especially if you're not even sick. Money does buy happiness, but time is money. I'll take the 10K. Depends on my age. Right now, 10,100 years. If I'm 90, I'll take the 10 million in 10 years. I'm pretty comfortable with the idea of death in general, so I take the 10 million. I'd much rather live my life knowing a date in the future when I would expire. I've also been around 80-year-olds and that doesn't seem fun 90 of the time. I'm 49. I've lived long enough. I'll take the 10 million. 10K. 10 years isn't enough time to enjoy with my wife and daughter.